Victor on the Let Me Explain show, and today I'll be demonstrating how I make my Irish Seamoss. So I've already put it in the bowl. I apologize for that. And it's got hot water in it. I'm letting it sit for about 5 minutes. And while it does so, let's talk about the Irish Seamoss I've got. That's my hot water. We don't need that anymore. So this is Red's Kitchen Sink Irish Seamoss, wild crafted sea moss, or also known as Irish Seamoss. Now, the first thing I want to mention is the wild crafted part. What does that mean? That means it grows naturally in the wild, or it's harvested from nature. There is a difference because there is some farm grown sea moss, right? So the difference there is that the wild crafted one is way better in terms of nutrition and just in terms of its vitality. The farm grown one is less potent as the wild crafted one. So if you're gonna go for Irish Seamoss, I recommend you go for the wild crafted one. And while this is getting ready also, I'm just gonna show you what it looks like in case you aren't familiar with it. So this is the Seamoss dried, and you might notice that it's pretty sparkly and white. It's got a white powdery effect on it. That's the sea salt on it. And what I'm doing right now is taking off the sea salt and just cleaning it off so that I just have the pure sea moss. So at this stage, it's beginning to look very limp, almost like spaghetti right there. And so this is my first wash. I'm going to do about 3 washes and then it will be good to go. If you don't wash it, what happens then is that you have very salty sea moss jelly. This will turn into a jelly as we go along. And you don't really want that because the salt content is a bit too high and it's not fun to put in smoothies when it's so salty, hence the washing out. Of course, during the washing out process, you do lose a bit of the Irish Seamoss because some of it gets lost in the water. So what I like to do is catch some of that salt and use it for my plants. I mean, salty wash the first and second washes, I like to capture that. So that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and drain it, do the first draining, and then after that we can pour in more water. It's already getting to that jelly like state, so it's happening pretty quick. Just let it drain for a bit. Put it back in the bowl. I'm gonna add more hot water to it. This time I just wanted to cover up the Irish Seamoss, but not too much above it. For this wash, I'm going to do it pretty quick. I won't let it sit for 5 minutes. I'll just rinse it off and then we'll do our final thing in the pot. I'll give it a taste to see how much salt content. Oh, perfect. So it's hardly got any salt content in it now. Actually, doesn't have any. So at this point, I'm going to put it in a pot and boil it off. Not boil it off, but just heat it up until it gets to a nice jelly-like state. That's our pot. Shove it in there. So I'll bring the camera to the stove so you can see the process as it goes along. So now we're gonna give it a little bit of heat, not too much. I just want it to turn to a jelly-like state. Let's take a look at the flame. So we don't want too much heat on it, and I'm just gonna turn that down. Very low heat, because too much heat will obviously destroy the nutrients. And what I like to do is also cover it up so that we don't lose too much too much of the moisture, right? So I'm gonna leave it on here for about 3 to 5 minutes, see how it does, and then you're stirring it in between. Then after that, we will package it. Okay, so this is where we are with the Irish Seamoss now. As you can see, it's beginning to turn into a jelly-like state. If you're going to use it for recipes, then at this point, I would leave it. I wouldn't go any further in breaking it down into a jelly-like state, because you can still use it. It will break down further in your recipe. So at this point, I'm going to give it, I'm going to be using it for something different, like for smoothies. And I have a weird habit of putting just a spoonful in my tea in the morning, just the first cup of tea. So this is about it. The rest is just packing. So that's been it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. You saw how to prepare your Irish Seamoss. Make it easier to take, because most people I've heard complain that it's too salty. That's just because it hasn't been washed. So wash it, then break it down to a jelly-like state, and you're good to go. All right, so we've got our Irish Seamoss set up, and now I'm just gonna put it away for storage. I've got 2 containers because I think I'll need them both. What I'll do is simply stir it up a little bit. You might notice that my Irish Seamoss is a bit chunky. It's still got chunks in it. I'm okay with that. But if you want it to be absolutely jelly-like, I would add a little bit more water and then boil it for a little bit longer. But for me, this works just fine. So all I'll do is pour it into there. And there we go. And then the rest into here. Why not make some space? There we go. This is the from the water I poured out. Now, as you can see, it's now in a jelly-like state. I'll move it closer to the camera so you can actually see it. There you go. That's the Irish Seamoss in a jelly-like state. That's a state most people prefer it in. Now, instead of throwing this away, it is a little salty. Not too bad. A little salty, but I sometimes use this for my soups. Since it's already got a little bit of salt in it, I won't have to add salt. Or I use it to just a little bit to add to the water I use for my plants. It's great in the garden, so you don't have to throw away the salty part of the sea moss. But since mine is not that salty, I am actually going to use it in soups. So that's been it. And now finally, to get this amount, and that, this will last me easily 2 months. And how I like to use it is just 2 teaspoons, not 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons heaped, either in my morning tea. Some people put it in a smoothie. That's good for my daily needs. If I feel like I need to take it every day, then just 1 teaspoon in my tea does it for me. I must mention that this is my own recipe. This is my own, not recipe, but my own dose, if you may use that word. So for you, it will depend on what your body needs. If you listen to your body, you will know what your body needs. For me, if I feel a sense of vitality, I feel a sense of wellness, I feel like my body is happy, then I know I'm taking the right amount. Sometimes I take too much, and it doesn't have any negative effect, but I do feel that, okay, there's a bit too much of something in my body. And since I watch my diet closely, I know what it is. It could be Irish Seamoss. So I take it once every other day, or if I feel I need to boost my nutritional content in my food, then if I haven't eaten well for a couple of days, then I can take it every day for a week. but be careful not to take too much of it, because then it's not good for you. I think it's got iodine in it, and that you don't want too much of that in your system. If you want to see what's in Irish Seamoss, I did a whole video just focusing on the nutritional content of Irish Seamoss. And now that this is out of the way, let's talk about the Irish Seamoss itself. And the thing I want to focus on is the fact that this is wild crafted Irish Seamoss. Now, the difference, firstly, who did I buy this from? This is from Red's Kitchen Sink, and I bought it off Amazon. I trust them. This is the second batch I've used in the last 4 months. And like I said, this much will last me about 2 months. And this runs you about $40 on Amazon. I'll put the price in the video. And it sounds like a lot, you know, to spend on a bag this small. But the fact of the matter is that it expands. As you saw, that much jelly came from about this much Irish Seamoss. So about this much will bring in about that much. So given that I've already used it before, it lasted me about 2 months for a batch like this. This will be another 2 months, maybe 3 months actually. About 2 months, let's say. Yeah, about 2 months. So this technically will last me about 8 months. So if we do the math, that comes down to about $5 a month of high nutrition in your diet. And I think it's totally worth it. And Red's Kitchen Sink does provide some of the best quality Irish Seamoss I've seen on the market. I'm not affiliated with them, but I love their story. She actually goes out to Jamaica to buy from the local people there. Then she comes back to America and packages it and sells it on Amazon. There is a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link. That means I will get a small kickback from it at no further expense to you. But just to support this journey on YouTube, I would appreciate it if you buy from the link. It's okay if you don't. So that's about it on Irish Seamoss. It's a great addition to your diet because it's got 94 of the 108 minerals your body needs. Once again, I'll link the video where I explain the nutritional value of it in the description below, and then you can check it out for yourself. Right, this has been Victor on the Let Me Explain show, and I hope you have a happy, healthy journey.